All right, here is the problem that was in the review quiz, and it is 2 aluminum and 3 chlorine make 2 AlCl3, otherwise known as aluminum chloride. Now, there was no 2 in the reaction, so don't forget the first rule is make sure the equation is balanced, even if you are given some of the coefficients. So what are they giving you here? They're giving you 2 grams. They're giving you the grams of aluminum and the grams of chlorine. So the question is, how are we going to solve this? And you can solve it in 2 different ways. The first way is I'm going to use all of my 15.2 grams of aluminum and see, based on molar masses and 2-to-3 ratio in terms of mole to mole, is 39.1 grams going to be enough to use all of my 15.2 grams of aluminum? And then I'm going to do the same thing, but try to use all of my chlorine, 39.1 grams of it, to see if 15.2 grams is enough. So this is how I'm going to go about it. And then I'm going to use the method, so I'm going to start. So use Al to find Cl2. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. So I'm going to take my 15.2 grams of aluminum, I'm going to use the method. And the first thing I want to do is, this is going to be 4 columns. We're going to start with my given. The next thing we're going to do is the molar mass. So I know that 1 mole of Al, based on a periodic table check, is 26.98 grams of aluminum. So there's my molar mass relationship, my mole to grams relationship. The next thing I want to do is I want to compare it to my chlorine in a mole to mole relationship, my mole ratio. So of course I'm going to put my moles of Al down here, and the number is 2, but it is a 3 mole of Cl2 at the top. And then finally I'm going to do my molar mass of my chlorine. So I know that 1 mole of Cl2 is 70.9 grams of Cl2. All right, so now when I do my math, what am I going to get? Well, the first thing is, make sure, you always want to make sure, even though you've set it up this way, you always want to make sure everything's making sense, you've put things in the right spot, and then you're going to multiply across. So I'm going to multiply my 15.2, I'm going to multiply it by 3, and then I'm going to multiply it by 70.9, and I get a total of, let's see, 3,233.04. So I'll write that down. So I got 3, 2, 3, 3. Right? And I know this is going to be grams of Cl2. Right? Then I'm going to I guess I'm going to multiply 26.98, and I'm going to multiply that by 2, and I get a total of 53.96. No units on the bottom, no compound on the bottom. So I'm just going to take my 3233 and divide it by that 53.96. And it tells me, all right, it tells me a bigger number than I have. So it tells me that in order to use my 15.2 grams of aluminum, that I'm going to need 59.9 grams of Cl2. And watch what I write up here. I'm going to write need. What am I going to write in? Let's write it in blue. This is a need number. Right? What I'm calculating right here is a need. Why? Because I have 15.2. I used everything that I needed. And when I look at what I really have of my grams of chlorine, I don't have enough. So there's no way that I'm going to be able to use my 15.2 grams of aluminum. So I already know what my limiting reagent is. My limiting reagent is going to be my chlorine, and let's prove it. So let's use my 39.1 grams of 1. So then I have to, I need my Cl2 in here. I'm going to use this last column here, which is the molar mass of Cl2. So I'm going to say 1 mole of Cl2 is 70.9 grams of Cl2. And I'm going to use this relationship, but I've got to flip it around because I need my 2 moles of Al on the top at the same time I do my 3 moles of Cl2 on the bottom. And I'm going to use this molar mass of my aluminum. So if you notice, I'm pretty much taking this problem, and after the given, I'm flipping everything around and using it again. And then I need my moles of aluminum down here, and I need my molar mass of 26.98 grams of aluminum. All right, let's do the math on this one. So I've got my 39.1. So again, I already know my chlorine's my limiting reagent because what I got as a need in that first calculation. But let's just make sure. So 39.1 times 1 times 2 times 26.98. And it's telling me it's going to be 2109. So I guess I could go 2110. So 2,110. And that's going to be grams of Al. And that's going to be 70.9 times my 3. That's going to be 212.7. And I'm now going to divide 2110 divided by that 212.7. And this tells me that I'm going to need 9.92 grams of aluminum. Well, that's great because, and watch what I write up here again. I'm going to write need. That's great because what I need of aluminum, I have 15.2, but I only need 9.92 grams if I use all of my chlorine. So this tells me that this is my limiting reagent because I have it. This is an imaginary number. That's never going to happen. Why? Because this was my excess. So aluminum's my excess, and chlorine's my limiting reagent. That's what it tells me. Now, if you notice, I didn't do anything with that product. So I'm still going to have to calculate, if I use all of my limiting reagent, how much product do I make? Well, another way of solving limiting reagents is to do just that, is to take all of your one and all of the other, and in this case, the other is Cl2 here, all of the one and all of the other, and actually calculate how much product you're going to make. So again, I'm going to do Al up here and Cl2 here. So let's see what I'm going to use here. Well, I'll do these simultaneously. So if I'm starting with grams, I need to do my molar mass. So 1 mole of aluminum. Here I need 1 mole of Cl2. And 1 mole of aluminum was our 26.98 grams of aluminum. And down here it was 70.9 grams of Cl2. Okay, next. Well, I'm going to use my aluminum now in moles and now in chlorine in moles, and I have to compare it to the product. And when I take a look at my balanced reaction here, aluminum is a 2-to-2 relationship in moles ratios, but chlorine is a 3-to-2 relationship. So I know I want to do 2 moles of AlCl3 on the top for both of them. But the relationship is 2 moles, so it's 2-to-2 right here, of aluminum, but this one is 3 moles of Cl2. All right, and then one final thing is going to be our molar mass, and this is one we haven't seen yet, and this is the molar mass of our aluminum chloride. So 133.33 grams of aluminum chloride and 133.33 grams of aluminum chloride. And this, of course, is 1 mole because it's the molar mass of aluminum chloride. Now I didn't cross out the units on my last one. You can see right here I didn't cross them out, but they do work out. And same thing here. I know they work out moles of aluminum chloride, moles of aluminum, and grams of aluminum. Here was grams of chlorine. Here are moles of chlorine. Here's moles of aluminum chloride. So I'm just going to give us I'm going to do all the math on the calculator. So I'll just give our final answers. So 15.2 times 2 times 133.33. I'm going to divide that by first 26.98. And I'm going to divide then that by 2 to get a total of 75.11 grams of aluminum chloride is what I should make. Now, let's see if this next number, remember, we said earlier, this is our limiting reagent. So what I should make here is less product. Why? Because we're assuming if this reaction is possible that I can use all aluminum. But we just said in the previous one that aluminum was excess. So in order to use all this aluminum, I would have to use more chlorine than I actually have. So there's no way I'm going to make that number. And we'll see in a second. So 39.1 times 2 and times 133.33. And I'm going to then divide that by 70.9. And then I'm going to divide that by 3. And not surprisingly, I'm only going to be able to make 49.01 grams of my aluminum chloride. So because I know I'm going to be making less of my product with my chlorine, I know this is my limiting reagent. So if I chose to do this first, now I have to do both of these because I have to compare them. So I need both of these products in order to say which one's the smallest. This is the smallest, and I go back and say, well, what gave us that small amount of aluminum chloride, and was that chlorine? So that's my limiting reagent. What I don't have here is I don't know how much aluminum I'm going to be able to use. I actually have that in the other one. So if I'm doing this problem, if I were to ask for, well, how many grams of product, we have it right here. This is how much product we should make. This is what we should use in terms of our chloride. I have no idea if I do these calculations to try to figure out limiting reagent and excess, how much aluminum am I going to use? Well, I did over here, and it's right here, and it says that I'm going to need 9.92 grams of aluminum if I use all of my limiting reagent. What this doesn't provide me, it doesn't provide me the grams of my product, which is aluminum chloride. So there's kind of drawbacks for each of them. So let's do, I have, and what do I have? I've got 15.2 grams of aluminum, and I'm going to need or use 9.92 grams of aluminum. So therefore, what is my leftover going to be? This is usually a question. So I'm just going to go 15.2 minus 9.92, and it tells me that I should have about 5.28 grams of leftover aluminum because it's my excess. So there you have it. Two different ways of solving these problems. It's really up to you what you want to do.